The Vatican Archives, whenever they're going to be opened, are going to reveal extraordinary levels of details.
If the secret library at the Vatican, which they acknowledge exists.
For centuries, the Vatican has remained shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. Its vast wealth, ancient archives, and influence over global affairs have long sparked curiosity and speculation. There was a time when the Holy See held dominion over the entire Catholic world, and this meant that they gathered treasures, both those of wealth and intellect, from all corners of the Christian world. Be it holy relics from all corners of Christendom or manuscripts written by some of the most accomplished intellectuals of their time. Some of these treasures are so unbelievable that you'd have to see them with your own eyes to believe. Well, hang tight, as the secret vault under the Vatican has been now opened after 5,000 years, and it holds a particularly terrifying discovery. There's a lot to uncover, so let's get started. Number 15. The body of Saint Catherine of Siena. Born in 1347 in Siena, Italy, Saint Catherine of Siena was a mystic, a reformer, and a theologian whose writings earned her the title of Doctor of the Church. Her tireless efforts in fostering peace and reform, particularly during the Avignon papacy, marked her as a pivotal figure in church history. Despite living in an era fraught with plague, political unrest, and ecclesiastical corruption, her unwavering faith and courage inspired both lay people and clergy. Today, the Basilica of San Domenico in Siena, Italy, holds a special place in the hearts of Catholics as the final resting place of Saint Catherine. Pilgrims from around the globe visit this sacred site to honor her memory and seek inspiration from her life. After she died in 1380, at the age of 33, her reputation for holiness and miraculous deeds only grew. However, when her body was exhumed 50 years later, it was discovered to be in an unusually well-preserved state. Today, parts of her body are enshrined in the basilica's chapels as sacred relics. These relics draw countless pilgrims who come to venerate them. Pilgrims believe that these relics provide a direct link to divine grace and often pray for her intercession in their lives. Every year, on April 29th, Saint Catherine's feast day, the basilica becomes the epicenter of celebration and devotion. The day is marked by solemn prayers, festive processions, and the recounting of her life's impact on the Catholic faith. The saint's life remains an extraordinary testament to the power of personal conviction and divine inspiration. Her mystical experiences, including her visions of Christ and her dedication to advocating for the unity and reform of the Church, continue to inspire millions. This was impressive, right? Well, rest assured, we're only getting started. Number 14. Vatican Obelisk. The Vatican Obelisk, a towering monument standing in the heart of St. Peter's Square, is instantly recognizable but often overlooked in terms of its deep and tumultuous history. This ancient Egyptian obelisk, originally from the city of Heliopolis, is a symbol of the powerful civilizations of antiquity. But how come it is in Vatican City? Well, this is a particularly dark and tragic story. Back in 1300 BC, the obelisk was carved from red granite and stood in Heliopolis, where it was erected by the pharaoh Thutmose III, an ancient Egyptian ruler known for his military conquests. Its journey to Rome began in the 1st century AD, during the reign of the infamous Roman emperor Caligula. Caligula, in his quest to flaunt Roman dominance and expand his own imperial ambitions, had the obelisk transported from Egypt to Rome, using a specially constructed ship to transport the massive structure. It was then placed in the circus of Gaius and Nero, a location notorious for its brutal and public executions. During the reign of Emperor Nero, who ruled with cruelty and extravagance, Christians were brought to the site to face horrific deaths. Among the martyrs was St. Peter, one of Christ's apostles, who is said to have been crucified upside down at this site around 64 AD. The obelisk silently witnessed all of these cruelties. When the circus of Gaius and Nero fell into disuse, the area surrounding it, including Vatican Hill, was repurposed as a necropolis, or a burial ground for the deceased. For centuries, the obelisk remained standing as a grim relic of the past, its base stained by the blood of countless Christians. Early Christians, despite the dangers, gathered near it to honor the memory of their martyrs. The obelisk remained in its original location until the late 16th century. In 1586, Pope Sixtus V, during a grand vision to reshape and beautify the Vatican, ordered the relocation of the obelisk to its current position at the center of St. Peter's Square. However, the move was no simple task. The massive pillar, weighing over 300 tons, was transported using an elaborate system of ropes and pulleys, and it was carefully placed in front of St. Peter's Basilica. The transfer marked a symbolic shift, as the once macabre monument was now recontextualized as a symbol of papal power and prestige. While this story was particularly grim, this next one is legendary in every sense of the word. Number 13. The Holy Grail. Rooted in Christian tradition, the Holy Grail is believed to be the sacred cup Jesus Christ used during the Last Supper, and later, the vessel that caught his blood during the crucifixion. Beyond its biblical origins, the Grail has inspired countless legends, symbolizing the ultimate quest for spiritual enlightenment, divine grace, and eternal life. However, today, the legend has entered the realm of reality. Among the many artifacts claimed to be the Holy Grail, the chalice housed in the Valencia Cathedral in Spain stands out as one of the most compelling contenders. Known as the Chalice of Valencia, this artifact is an ancient cup, carved from agate, set upon a gold base adorned with jewels. While its origins remain the subject of scholarly debate, carbon dating indicates the cup itself could be as old as the 4th or 5th century, with the ornate base added centuries later. This timeline, while not definitive proof of its connection to Christ, aligns with early Christian traditions of preserving sacred relics. The chalice has been a focus of devotion for centuries, with many believers venerating it as the Holy Grail. Its association with Christ's Last Supper imbues it with profound spiritual significance. By the 15th century, the chalice began to be widely referred to as the Holy Grail. Pilgrims and scholars alike journey to Valencia to behold this revered relic. Each year, on the first Sunday of October, the Feast of the Holy Grail is celebrated in Valencia. This event draws crowds of the devout and the curious, coming together to honor the chalice and its deep religious symbolism. The feast day features solemn liturgical ceremonies, processions, and reflections on the Grail's significance as a vessel of divine connection. Number 12. The Secret Room. Beneath the Medici chapels at the Basilica of San Lorenzo in Florence lies a hidden room, a small and unassuming space that holds an extraordinary secret tied to one of history's greatest artists, Michelangelo. This room, sealed away for centuries, was rediscovered in 1975 during an effort to create a new exit for the museum to accommodate increasing numbers of visitors. The hidden room is believed to have served as a refuge for Michelangelo during the political upheaval of 1530. At the time, Florence was under siege by the forces of the Medici family, who sought to reclaim power in the city. Michelangelo, having aligned himself with the Republicans opposing Medici rule, took shelter in this confined space to evade capture, spending weeks in isolation while the city around him was engulfed in turmoil. What makes this room remarkable are the sketches that cover its walls, drawn in chalk and charcoal by Michelangelo himself. These rough yet deeply expressive drawings provide a glimpse into his creative process and his inner thoughts during this period of crisis. The sketches include studies of human anatomy and preliminary designs for some of his most iconic works. Among them are drawings thought to be studies for the sculptures of dawn, dusk, night, and day, which adorn the Medici tombs located directly above the hidden room. Other sketches appear to echo figures from the Sistine Chapel ceiling, offering a rare connection between Michelangelo's earlier and later works. These drawings, though unfinished and spontaneous, reveal the intensity of his artistic exploration. This hidden room is a time capsule that captures the intersection of art, history, and personal struggle. The room's existence underscores the resilience of Michelangelo, who, even in hiding, found solace and expression through his art. Today, the room is a focus of ongoing study and preservation. It has reignited scholarly interest in Michelangelo's life and work, inviting experts to analyze the drawings and uncover new insights into his creative process. Number 11. The Resurrection. Pericle Fazzini's monumental sculpture, The Resurrection, stands as a stark and unforgettable feature of the Vatican's Paul VI Audience Hall. With a colossal 66 feet in length and 23 feet in height, this work of art commands immediate attention. Situated behind the stage where the Pope delivers his weekly addresses, the sculpture has ignited much debate and sparked numerous conspiracy theories due to its unsettling design. It appears as though a mass of tangled, melting serpents is slowly emerging from a pool of viscous, black substance, creating an image that has been interpreted as grotesque or even demonic by some viewers. The organic, chaotic forms evoke a sense of dread. Despite the disturbing first impression, the sculpture's true intent is rooted in its symbolic message. Fazzini's piece, which was commissioned in the 1960s, is meant to symbolize the moment of Christ's resurrection and the spiritual transformation that follows the cataclysmic events of the end times. The intense visual shock and the unsettling forms are designed to challenge and confront the audience. The chaos embodied in the sculpture is meant to symbolize the tumult and suffering that will precede the resurrection, a stark portrayal of the trials and tribulations of the final days. Fazzini's depiction does not shy away from the terror and destruction associated with the apocalyptic imagery found in Christian eschatology. His work forces the viewer to confront the raw, unrefined reality of the end times, where chaos reigns, but ultimate salvation is promised. If you thought this was a bit disturbing, well, prepare yourself for the next entry on our list. Number 10. A necropolis under the Vatican. Beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City lies the Vatican Necropolis, a sprawling underground burial site that holds profound historical and spiritual significance. This hidden world dates back to Roman times and offers a fascinating glimpse into the early days of Christianity. Its discovery in the mid-20th century unveiled a treasure trove of ancient tombs and artifacts that bridged the gap between the pagan traditions of Rome and the nascent Christian faith that would later shape Western civilization. The necropolis stretches deep below the basilica, spanning hundreds of meters and housing burial chambers from the 1st to 4th centuries AD. These chambers are adorned with intricate frescoes and mosaics. Early Christian symbols like the chi-rho and fish appear alongside traditional Roman motifs. The frescoes depict scenes of paradise and biblical narratives. At the heart of this underground complex lies what many believe to be the tomb of St. Peter, one of Christ's apostles and the first pope of the Catholic Church. According to tradition, St. Peter was martyred in Rome during the reign of Emperor Nero and buried in a modest grave on Vatican Hill. Over centuries, this site became a focal point of Christian worship, culminating in the construction of the magnificent basilica that stands above it today. The discovery of the necropolis came about almost serendipitously during the construction of a parking lot in the 1940s. Guided by Pope Pius XII, Vatican archaeologists embarked on a meticulous excavation project. Their efforts were fraught with challenges, as they had to ensure that the excavation did not compromise the structural integrity of St. Peter's Basilica above. The high humidity levels and fragile nature of the artifacts added further complexity. This meant that the archaeologists had to use advanced preservation techniques to safeguard this invaluable heritage. Today, the Vatican Necropolis is accessible to a limited number of visitors each day through guided tours. The journey is both an archaeological marvel and a deeply spiritual experience, connecting visitors to the roots of Christianity and the enduring legacy of St. Peter. Through it all, preserving this underground treasure continues to be a priority for the Vatican. Advanced climate control systems and conservation efforts ensure that the artwork and structures remain intact for future generations. Speaking of preserving artifacts for future generations, brace yourself for this next one. Number 9. The Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is an ancient linen cloth that bears a faint image of a man whose body shows signs consistent with crucifixion, including bloodstains and wounds that align with the biblical account of Jesus Christ's passion. Naturally, scholars and believers insist that the image is that of Jesus Christ, and that the shroud is his burial cloth. The shroud first entered recorded history in the 14th century in France, when it was displayed in the small village of Lirey. But how did it get there? Well, some suggest that Crusaders brought it to Europe after looting sacred relics from the Holy Land, while others argue that it could have originated in the Byzantine Empire, where depictions of the Mandylion, a similar cloth believed to bear Christ's face, were revered. The shroud could also have traveled through ancient trade routes from Jerusalem, where it might have been Christ's actual burial cloth. One of the most compelling aspects of the shroud is the image itself. Unlike a painting, the image appears to be a negative, with its full details revealed only when viewed through photographic techniques. This was discovered by Italian photographer Secondo Pia in 1898. The figure on the cloth is remarkably detailed, showing wounds that correspond to those described in the Gospels, scourge marks, a crown of thorns, and a pierced side. Bloodstains on the cloth are type AB, which some studies have found to be consistent with blood found on other religious artifacts. But how exactly the image was imprinted is not known. The shroud was subjected to radiocarbon dating tests in 1988. These tests dated the cloth to between 1260 and 1390 AD. However, these results have been widely contested. Critics argue that the samples tested came from areas of the cloth that had been repaired after damage from fires and handling over centuries. Other scientific studies have delved into the potential mechanisms behind the shroud's creation. Hypotheses range from natural phenomena, such as the effects of heat or light, to microbial activity that might have altered the cloth over time. Some researchers suggest that the image could have been formed by a burst of intense energy, aligning with theories about the resurrection. Whatever the case, for many believers, it is a tangible connection to the suffering and sacrifice of Christ. Number 8. The Chronovvisor. The Chronovvisor is one of the most enduring and mysterious legends associated with the Vatican. This is a secret time travel device capable of peering into the past. Many believe that the Chronovvisor was an extraordinary invention created by a Benedictine monk named Father Pellegrino Ernetti in the mid-20th century. The tale goes that Ernetti, working with a group of 12 scientists, including a former Nazi engineer, developed the device under the secret auspices of the Vatican. The Chronovvisor allegedly used a complex system of cathode rays, antennas, and various metals to receive light and sound signals across different wavelengths, allowing its users to view events from the past. Some claim that the Chronovvisor enabled the Vatican to witness significant historical events, most notably the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. According to Ernetti, the machine provided visual documentation of biblical events, including a detailed image of Christ on the cross. The device was supposedly kept under wraps for decades, known only to a select few within the Vatican, including Father François Brune, who learned about it from Ernetti in the early 1960s. This only fueled suspicions and speculation. Skeptics quickly pointed out the irony. If the device could genuinely view past events, why didn't the Vatican show the world evidence? The device's ability to see the past was said to involve capturing signals from different points in time, similar to how a television receives signals from the present. Theoretically, the Chronovvisor would allow its users to observe any moment in history, much like tuning into a broadcast from the past. However, as with many conspiracy theories, doubts began to arise when the evidence presented did not match the extraordinary claims. One of the key pieces of alleged proof was a photograph purported to show Jesus Christ during the crucifixion, but closer inspection revealed that it closely resembled a painting or, more strikingly, a reproduction of a statue from a church in Umbria, Italy. Ultimately, whether the Chronovvisor is a genuine invention, an elaborate hoax, or a product of religious myth, it serves as a compelling example of how legends and conspiracy theories can intertwine with historical institutions. Number 7. The Boura Apartments. Nestled within the Vatican museums, the Boura Apartments were commissioned by one of the most controversial pontiffs in history, and a member of the infamous Borgia family, Pope Alexander VI. Despite the scandals and controversies that surround the Borgias, the apartments reflect the family's patronage of art and culture during a transformative era. Pope Alexander VI, whose papacy spanned from 1492 to 1503, enlisted the renowned artist Pinturicchio and his workshop to decorate the apartments. The resulting frescoes are masterpieces of Renaissance artistry, blending vivid colors, intricate details, and profound symbolism. Each room within the apartments is adorned with elaborate depictions of biblical narratives, allegorical scenes, and mythological motifs. One of the standout works is The Resurrection, which vividly portrays Christ's triumph over death. The fresco is imbued with dynamic energy, symbolizing hope and renewal in a tumultuous time. Another notable piece, The Virgin and Child, captures an intimate moment between Mary and the infant Jesus. These works are not merely decorative. They also serve as visual sermons, conveying complex theological and moral messages to their viewers. The opulent decoration of the apartments was a statement of the Pope's authority and sophistication, yet it stood in stark contrast to the controversies surrounding his family. The Borgias were infamous for their alleged corruption, nepotism, and schemes to consolidate power. These tensions between faith and politics are subtly reflected in the art, which glorifies divine triumphs while subtly hinting at the human struggles of the era. Number 6. Mummies. Among the many treasures housed within the Vatican, there is also a surprising and lesser-known collection of ancient mummies. These fascinating relics, tucked away in the Vatican museums, reflect the Vatican's role in the burgeoning field of Egyptology during the 18th and 19th centuries. Some of the mummies preserved in the Vatican date back as far as 2000 BC, representing the sophisticated embalming techniques and funerary traditions of ancient Egypt. These relics provide invaluable insights into the cultural and spiritual significance of death and the afterlife in one of the world's oldest civilizations. During the 18th and 19th centuries, also known as the Age of Egyptomania, European explorers and collectors brought back artifacts from Egypt. The Vatican, under Pope Gregory XVI, also joined the movement by establishing its Egyptian Museum in 1839. Today, the Vatican's Egyptian Museum is home to several mummies, each preserved using different methods. Some were embalmed using traditional techniques involving resins and linen wrappings, while others owe their preservation to natural environmental conditions. The collection also includes intricately decorated sarcophagi, canopic jars used to store organs, and funerary artifacts, all of which shed light on the rituals surrounding death in ancient Egypt. For visitors, these relics are a profound reminder of the universality of human attempts to grapple with mortality and the afterlife. Number 5. The Vatican Archives. Spanning an estimated 53 miles of shelving, the Vatican Archives contain a staggering volume of documents, letters, papal decrees, and records that date back to the earliest days of the Catholic Church. These records encompass everything from ecclesiastical laws and theological statements to more mundane documents related to the Church's vast wealth, political maneuverings, and international diplomacy. The Vatican Archives are the personal property of the Pope, entrusted to his care during his papacy, and they remain in his hands until his death, at which point they are passed on to his successor. Many people believe that the archives hold documents of profound significance, including evidence of the Church's most closely guarded secrets, such as ancient texts, lost Gospels, and perhaps even documents related to the alleged secret history of the Church. Since very few people have unrestricted access to the archives, conspiracy theories have spawned from all over. Some speculate that the Vatican is hiding critical pieces of history, such as evidence of extraterrestrial encounters, secret knowledge of early Christianity, or even incriminating records of church figures. However, much of what is stored there is far less sensational. The vast majority of documents are administrative, dealing with the day-to-day operations of the Vatican, its vast properties, and its financial dealings. These records contain exhaustive details about the Church's wealth, investments, and historical dealings with various parties. The archives also contain records relating to the Holy See's diplomatic efforts, its involvement in global politics, and the management of the papacy's global influence. Some speculate that within the vaults may lie hidden letters from historical figures, records of long-forgotten religious movements, or even details about the origins of the Church itself. There are also long-standing rumors that the Vatican Archives house suppressed documents related to early Christian history, such as the fate of the Gnostic texts and the controversial decisions made at the Council of Nicaea. But as time progresses, and new generations of scholars gain access to these documents, there may come a day when the secrets within the Vatican Archives are revealed, potentially altering the course of religious and historical understanding forever. Until then, the Vatican Archives remain a source of fascination and speculation. But wait, there's more. Number 4. Codex Vaticanis. Nestled within the storied halls of the Vatican Library lies one of the most remarkable treasures of human history, the Codex Vaticanis. Revered as one of the oldest and most complete surviving manuscripts of the Bible, This ancient text, written in Greek, dates back to the 4th century AD. It is crafted on vellum, a type of fine parchment, and was meticulously written by scribes whose precision underscores the reverence with which sacred texts were treated in antiquity. Originally, it included all 73 books of the Bible, as recognized by early Christian traditions. However, the manuscript has suffered the ravages of time. Portions such as the end of the book of Hebrews, parts of 1 and 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, and the entirety of the book of Revelation are now missing. Despite these gaps, the Codex remains an invaluable resource for biblical studies, representing a vital link to early scriptural traditions. What makes the Codex Vaticanus particularly remarkable is not only its age, but also its role in shaping modern biblical scholarship. The manuscript has informed critical editions of the Bible, serving as a primary source for textual comparison alongside other ancient texts like the Codex Sinaiticus. Its Greek script, penned in an uncial style with its distinctive large rounded letters, has provided vital clues to the linguistic and cultural context of early Christianity. The Codex Vaticanus also symbolizes the Vatican's long-standing commitment to the preservation of human heritage. As one of the crown jewels of the Vatican Library, it reflects the Church's historical role as a custodian of knowledge and its dedication to safeguarding sacred texts. Number 3. Evidence of extraterrestrial life. Given the Church's vast influence over theological discourse and its history of controlling access to certain knowledge, the idea that the Vatican might be hiding information about aliens seems, to some, not only plausible, but even probable. This speculation has gained traction in part due to the Vatican's extensive network of research institutions, particularly the Vatican Observatory, which is one of the oldest astronomical research organizations in the world. Located in Castel Gandolfo, Italy, the Vatican Observatory is home to some of the brightest minds in the scientific community, dedicated to the study of the cosmos, stars, and planets. The Jesuit priest and astronomer, Father José Funes, who is also the former director of the Vatican Observatory, has publicly stated that the existence of extraterrestrial life would not contradict the teachings of the Church. He emphasized that belief in alien life, if proven to exist, could be seen as part of God's creation, expanding our understanding of the divine. Funes even suggested that alien beings could have their own form of salvation, in line with Catholic teaching that salvation is available to all. However, many believe that the Vatican is hiding proof of extraterrestrial life, while the Church has a long history of controlling information and maintaining secrecy over controversial issues. In any case, the Vatican astronomers and scientists continue to study the universe and search for signs of life beyond Earth. Number 2. The Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls from the Qumran caves are among the most transformative archaeological finds of the 20th century. These ancient manuscripts, found in the arid cliffs near the Dead Sea in the West Bank, date back to between the 3rd century BC and the 1st century AD. The story began in 1947, when a Bedouin shepherd stumbled upon a collection of scrolls stored in clay jars within a cave. This accidental discovery led to a series of excavations that uncovered additional manuscripts in 11 nearby caves over the next decade. In total, the collection includes over 900 texts written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Scholars believe the scrolls were authored or compiled by a Jewish sect known as the Essenes, a devout and ascetic group that distanced themselves from mainstream Jewish society. Living in isolation at Qumran, the Essenes adhered to strict rules of purity and communal living. The Dead Sea Scrolls encompass a wide variety of content. About 40% of the texts are portions of the Hebrew Bible, making them the oldest known manuscripts of these sacred scriptures. These include almost complete versions of books like Isaiah and fragments of nearly every other book in the Hebrew canon. Another 30% consists of sectarian writings unique to the Essenes, including commentaries, liturgical texts, and community rules. The remainder comprises apocryphal works, previously unknown religious writings, and texts related to prophecy and eschatology. The scroll's discovery and subsequent analysis have revealed variations in the biblical text, demonstrating that the Hebrew Bible existed in multiple versions before being standardized. Ready to be scared? Well, the Vatican houses something really scary. Number 1. A terrifying discovery. Often associated with dark arts and sorcery, the Black Magic Grimoire contains powerful spells, incantations, and rituals capable of bending reality to the practitioner's will. Its origins, however, remain hotly contested. Estimates place its creation anywhere between 1421 and 1521. However, some scholars argue for a much later date. Historian Owen Davies argues that the first recognized edition of the book dates to 1702. Davies, a noted expert on the history of grimoires, believes the text reflects a later period's fascination with mysticism and occultism, particularly during the Enlightenment. He claims the grimoire was a product of early modern Europe's blending of folklore, theology, and experimental science. Despite Davies's scholarship, myths surrounding the book claim it was authored by a secretive cabal of necromancers or a renegade monk who turned his back on the church to delve into the forbidden. Some suggest that it was written in a cryptic language that only the most adept magicians could decipher, a text imbued with hidden meanings and encoded warnings for those who dared to misuse its knowledge. Others believe it was deliberately obscured by the church, which sought to eradicate its influence while preserving it for its own purposes. There are many stories of those who used the book, only to fall victim to its supposed curses, or to the wrath of the supernatural forces they sought to control. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.